Hey guys, welcome back to Fourth Wall Reactions. Today, I'm checking out more Black Sails. Now, I have been just dying to get back to this show and to get to this episode because, tons of things happened in the last episode, but not the least of which for me was this implication that somehow Thomas may still be alive, or there's a chance he may still be alive. What the hell? I'm gonna find out. Probably not in this episode, but within the coming episodes, I will find out if this is true. However, here's the thing: for me, it's one of two things that I can foresee. One, it's an idea being floated of just this possibility, which might be enough to shake Flint's resolve because Thomas, his relationship with Thomas, all of that is just such a, at the core of his being. I remember being so surprised when he told Silver just everything about that relationship. I don't know. He put an awful lot of trust in Silver, and Silver knows. Silver has this information that easily sets Flint off, or could easily set Flint off. I don't know how this information could be used to manipulate Flint or affect Flint, but I just feel like it could. The second possibility is that it's real, that Thomas did in fact go through what Max sketched out with this place she knows in Florida where the wealthy families send their troublesome children to family members to make them disappear, never to be heard from again. What? On one hand, it seems fairly incredulous, but on the other hand, this is not a show that it sort of capriciously tosses these things out. Like, what if? Ha ha ha. So I'm leaning towards that second option, that he is in fact alive. Either way, I don't know if he'll ever actually re-enter this story, since it would be such a off-ramp, really. But I think whether or not he is or isn't alive, either the fact that he's confirmed alive or the fact of that vague possibility, I think is enough to influence Flint significantly. Now, how that might be used in whatever fashion, I don't know. I also don't know why I'm still just talking about this instead of watching it. So let's go.
Eleanor Guthrie told you she'd surrender the fort and all of Nassau with him if Flint agreed to act as her hostage to guarantee the deal.
He's not telling him about the gold yet.
It wasn't all she got.
Ah!
What else did she get? That we would retrieve and surrender to her the cashew gems remaining from the Urkel gold. It guarantees a quick victory to a fight we'd otherwise be far from guaranteed to win. I trust his judgment.
Really doesn't.
She intends to surrender her position.
What?
She has negotiated an arrangement with Captain Flint.
Someone clear that launch. Mr. Mullen, get us underway. We proceed. Prepare to make our landing.
My lord!
Clear away that launch!
He's like, nope.
If I wanted to fire a warning shot, how close would I have to aim for it to be effective? I'm not interested in holding his ship, but need him to understand that I am committed to this.
It's nice that she still trusts him, that he would answer that question honestly and not like...
Continue our approach.
You married her.
Mr. Mullen, stand down the gun crews.
Okay. She hasn't spilled beans about the baby. Captain Flint told them the correct amount of distance they would have to fire at him without sinking the ship. Everyone did as they were told.
To trade it? All of it?
All of it.
Oh.
Money wants to be out.
But I think he made the right decision.
You kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
There has been immeasurable, unspeakable suffering on this island as a result of Billy's actions. Whatever trust may have been between the slaves here and our alliance is gone. The damage done to this alliance was caused by Billy. It may be that the only way to repair this damage is to remove that which caused it.
Ooh. Oh.
Remove.
Without the resources afforded by the cash or the force supplied by Billy and his men, how the fuck do you imagine we're going to do that?
We will struggle through it.
Raise your voice to her.
Train men.
You sound exactly like him.
Why is this a problem? This is not easy for me. But I know it is harder for you. Please. Don't forget that I know that.
If it all ended and we had to walk away from it, that'd be enough for you. But you know what? You don't have to answer that.
Oh my God. I was thinking, Silver is so in between Flint and Billy. He has both of them in his ear.
He's dead, isn't he? Mr. Scott.
She remembered him.
I've heard about his role amongst your Maroon allies. For how long had he been secretly aiding them? Did he say why he did it?
He told me that he feared for the safety of his wife and his daughter. So he had them transported to a place they'd be safe.
Are they still alive?
Yes, they are.
For all that time, all he saw was a girl so ambitious, she would never doubt his story. Draw everyone's attention away from himself.
You did do all those things.
I know I did. But always with a man behind me, doing his damnedest to bend it all to his benefit.
Also true.
Father, Scott, Charles, you.
He's been trying to work with you.
So many goddamn men here. Too many goddamn men here.
Woods Rogers. He's really so different from the rest of us.
I am so glad that they brought that up. It's sad that the character had to die in order for this story to hit Eleanor, but I'm glad that didn't just disappear.
There is very little I wouldn't do to protect my wife.
Oh God, what'd you do? He's such a beautiful man. He's such a beautiful face. He can look so evil. What'd you do?
If the British Empire will not aid us in fighting our present enemy, perhaps a different empire will. Strike our colors.
Did you go to Spanish troops? I mean, it can't be somewhere very far. Havana. All right.
Everything we've put that ship through, and she just refuses to die. It's fucking unnatural. We'll follow you. You know that, don't you? Flint thinks these people would run when confronted by the governor's men, and he's wrong.
Or he's trying to keep people alive.
You're exactly what I'd hope you'd be. A rational man to lead NASA. This doesn't have anything to do with reason, and you know it. You want them following me only to the extent that I, in turn, will follow you. We gave our word to Marty, her mother, their people, that we were all committed to the same war. That's Flint's deal. Not mine.
Oh, dear.
Not yours. I'm committed to Flint. I'm committed to Marty. I know what Billy's done. What should be unforgivable, and yet till so very recently.
You don't know. Why should I follow you if you don't know? I don't give a shit what goes on in there. Fuck Flint, don't fuck Flint. Fuck Billy, don't fuck Billy. I don't give a shit what you choose, but fucking choose.
He has too many people in his ear and not enough of his own voice.
I had a younger brother once. Beneath the flag of surrender, he was butchered. And I'm told you likely wielded the sword. Personally.
Oh.
Am I misinformed? This is personal to me.
The pirates offered me a cache of stolen gems to persuade me to surrender. The cache of gems representing the last remaining share of the Urca plunder. They're paying for their war with your money. Void the fort entirely. And in exchange, the fort will offer no resistance to your landing. Once you land, ask that you burn it all to the ground.
Oh! He'd rather see it completely destroyed than... Alright.
You send word to the fort and tell them it's here. Arrange for them to come out. I'll have men waiting there. I'll end it quickly.
Ooh.
What you have to do is look the other way.
Billy, I used to love you. I used to love
I don't
you.
want it happening in Formula on that beach.
What is going on? Either he's going along with this or he's gonna be taking care of the Billy problem. I don't know where it's going.
Once Silver gives the signal, they'll close in. When the time comes, I don't want anyone else touching Flynn. I'll handle it.
I think they're going to be taking care of the Billy problem.
This isn't right. I can't believe I'm the only one who knows this isn't right.
Yep, double cross.
Oh, John Silver. All he had to do was open his mouth. Say your name. And everyone listened. What was it that he said about me? He said the reason Flint's fleet never got warning of the barricade in the harbour wasn't because Mr. Featherstone didn't relay it. Wasn't because Max intercepted it. He said it was because you never sent it in the first place. And they all believed him. I don't think anyone actually believed it. He just said it. Thought you'd be a friend.
They're going to shoot you.
You've all forgotten your oaths.
Oh!
The hell with all of you.
Yeah, you're gone. Ooh! William! Oh!
Stop. Take him to the Underhill estate. Do it.
Oh my god.
The cash isn't here.
What?
What the fuck is this?
Came back to rejoin the fight. To know if the harbour was safe to enter. What are you doing here?
What timing?
You want to trade the cash? My cash? It was the only way we could avoid a fight we were more than likely to lose. She agreed to it, but it's all meaningless unless and until he agrees. Woods Rogers, he's already agreed to it. No, he hasn't.
What is it?
Here they come.
What do you see out there?
I see a lot of ships. Yes, many, many ships. Oh, God. Eleanor, look what you did. Jeez. Well, that was episode 5 of season 4. It's not that it's funny. It's just that things just keep... It's just all ending in chaos, which There are so many different factions. You have the Billy faction, the Flint Silver faction, the faction that's in the fort. You have the Woods Rogers, and now bringing in Not to mention the slave revolt that's happening as well. There are just too many uncontrollable factors. I don't know how any of these leaders think that they're going to be able to control anything just because of the unpredictability of all these different factors. You can make your plots, you can make your alliances, but I mean, they don't always take into account all the crap that's going on they don't know about. I guess that's true of every war. I don't know. First of all, I'm going to start with the whole bringing up Mr. Scott thing, because I'm so glad that they did that. I had been so thrilled last season when Mr. Scott got more of a storyline, and maybe there was something happening behind the scenes that prevented the actor from actually, sort of being there. I don't know. I don't know if this was just always Mr. Scott's storyline. It just seems so strange that it came to prominence of all the stuff that he did and who he really was at the same time they killed off the character. I don't know. But I guess maybe, the fact that all of his work was done in secret was the only way to ensure his safety. So this story of his was never going to be his story as long as he was alive. Like maybe it could only happen after he'd passed on. Mr. Scott and Eleanor had been so close, and I had always really enjoyed their scenes together. And just, she never really mentioned him again. So I'm really glad that this was brought up. And that she knows. That she knows who he really was and what his goals were. I think it is possible that these two things can coexist in the same reality. That he could be a close person to her and care for her, which I think he genuinely did, but still be protecting his own family and working against a system of society to help free slaves and servants. I get her point that she made about, like, all these men, lying to me and using me and blah, blah, blah. Because they did. I see her point from her perspective and from what she was trying to do with her role. To be fair, regardless of whether or not you're male or female, everyone in Nassau is using everybody else. What are you expecting, Eleanor? And certainly she did her fair share of using, manipulating, and I don't know. It would have been really interesting to see she and Maddie interact, and maybe that is coming, hopefully, sometime soon. But the Armada is on its way. Woodes Rogers. It's funny because I'm a little further ahead on Patreon than I am on YouTube, and as I've recorded this, I've just uploaded the 6th episode of season 3, in which in my commentary I wondered, like, he doesn't seem so bad, like Woodes Rogers. He seems like, he has this mysterious past. He's maybe done some dark things. I don't know what it is, but right now he seems like a good guy. Of course, at this point I'm like, what the hell? I definitely think that Jack totally has his number, that he is a man who does not allow himself to be ordered. He doesn't allow himself to be, have anyone put anything over on him. Eleanor, as his wife, she deferred to him in a very outward manner so that all of his troops could see that she was under control. All this stuff. I think that her making this deal is part of why this did not go over well with him at all. But I also think that he will do anything, apparently, to not lose this war, even if it means throwing the entire island under the bus. I mean, he gave the Spanish permission to just raze it to the ground. I don't think it's about restoring civilization to Nassau anymore. So yeah, he continues to be horrible, and it's just funny to have looked back on a time where he seemed somewhat reasonable and somewhat, civilized and not a total gentleman. They were hinting that something dark lay beneath the lovely exterior. I did not know it would be this dark. Although, speaking of dark, I have to bring up Billy. He's developed in such a different way than I thought that he would. Because he's another one. I mean, I think he was genuinely a really good guy. I don't know that he's a bad, like, he doesn't see himself as a bad guy now. It's always interesting when you have, like, time jumps, even if they're not really big time jumps. And you could see his development just as far as it related to Flint and Silver and who he favored and who he trusted and who he didn't trust. I mean, that's been building the whole time. But from the first episode that he appeared this season, and he was totally dressing differently and appeared differently, and he had just evolved rather quickly into this leadership role that we didn't really get to see that process. And when they first left that estate, that plantation, the wife and child, and had they killed Underhill? But at least the wife and child had been alive at the time of that skirmish. And then it was later we found out that I guess Billy's group had killed them. I don't know if Billy himself killed them or why he would have done that, or why he would have allowed his men to do it, but apparently that is what had happened. And I do think, awful as it is to admit it, Maddie has a point. Giving him to the Underhill plantation and turning him over, I shudder to think of what's going to happen to him, but he's become such a different person. I used to love him so much for being so good, so good-hearted. Even if he was doing still pirate deeds, he's still not so much anymore. Of course, having an opportunity to get Flint out of the way, I mean, at the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh my God, he's totally going to take opportunity of that. One way or another, he wants Flint gone. And I also see that side of it from his perspective. I don't think he's ever gotten past what happened to Mr. Gates. So yeah, Billy, what happened to you? Silver was just tormented this episode. I did think early on that he had a lot of different people whispering in his ear. I mean, whispering, but he just had the voices of many different people in his ear. I mean, constantly being put between managing Billy's group and Flint's loyalty. And then now he has Maddie's input. And I did think, well, I don't think I said it out loud then, but I did think, he's taking all this input, but where is Silver in all this? Because he is very opinionated about things, but I think that was a very necessary thing to do, to, I mean, you have to commit to something. They don't really have any super great options. So pick the one that sucks the least, I guess. But when Israel walked into that room, I had written down, does Israel have pearls of wisdom? He didn't strike me like the way the scene was being set up is, that Silver was actually going to, talk about his troubles and he might get some wisdom from Israel. So when he smacked the hell out of his face, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much, that's Israel right there. I didn't know him very well, but a smack in the face is pretty much Israel's pearls of wisdom. Snap out of it. I do think that Silver had to contemplate and weigh the choices, but at the same time, he had to make a choice and then lead from that point. Kind of ironic for Billy that he would have such influence. I did feel a little bad because I think from everything that we've been told, it wasn't Billy's fault about that message going astray. It was Max. We did hear that, right? So that he could use his image just to destroy someone. Billy had a hand in creating that. Billy did create it. And as far as Flint and Rackham go, what a time for Rackham to appear on the beach. I mean, I did remember that they were heading that way. And he was very right to not just sail into the harbor like, oh, hey. I think this is as physically close to Eleanor that Jack has been in a while. She's like within range. If he had a pistol. And, you know, Flint really had somewhat of a passive role this time around. But I mean, that makes sense. He submitted himself as collateral and he was a bargaining chip. So he was a bit of a blank slate for other characters to impart their knowledge upon and their thoughts and what was going on with them. So that's kind of the role that he served. I imagine the next episode, with all of those ships on the way, I imagine that there's not going to be a whole lot of time for chit-chatting. Unless it is the calm before the storm again. Like they've left off on episodes like this before where there's an advance of a force and then there's a standoff. So next episode could be that. It also could be all hell breaking loose. So it'll be episode 6. I can't imagine we have very many quiet episodes coming up. All right, you guys, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for watching this one with me. If you enjoyed the reaction, please feel free to give it a like, a share, and a subscribe. Full reactions are on Patreon, and be sure to join me for the next episode. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.